I hope this is public. It looks like it is. Okay, I think it is. Okay, so I've got the chat on here if anyone would like to chat, and we're going to be working on painting this, which I said that a couple days ago I said we would do that, and it takes a couple of minutes for people to come in. Paste. Okay. Okay, so I do have my chat screen up if anyone... Oh, we do have one person watching. Okay, so let's get started. I'm not sure. This is so hard for me to think about what colors I want to use to paint this. I think I want to start with a little bit of, just a tiny bit of yellow here in the center. So I've got my metallic watercolors right here. And we've got these watercolors right here too. These are well used. You can see that I use them a lot. I use yellow quite a lot. Yellow and orange and red look like the ones that... Yellow and orange are the ones I use the most. Red is not far behind, and then blue and green, and then some purple. Okay, did I mess up here? It kind of looks like it did. I'm going to have to... Okay, let me see if I can do this a little better, because I just don't know what color I want to use. I don't want my... I need to kind of try to dry brush it a little. There, that'll work. I gotta dry brush it some. Otherwise, I'm going to be dragging the color. My ink is going to... See, my ink is actually... See what's happening there? I don't want to do it too much, because then I am dragging my ink lines. And so I don't want to make them wet. I don't want to drag the ink lines and blur them. See what I did in the center? I might be able to fix that. I don't know. But that's how it's going to be. Let me see if I can improve it a little bit on one of these other ones. Let me see if I can try and get some color in here without... There, we'll just dab it in. That's what I'm going to do. Dab it in like that and not drag. If I want a bright yellow center, I have to dab it in here a little bit like this. Oh, that's a lot better. Okay, I messed that one up completely, didn't I? I sure did. Now, I do have, it does appear that I have some... Let me see if I can... Oh, this is what we'll do. We'll add in... Oh, we can't see it very well. Let's see if I can put... There, we can see it a little better when I bring it closer, that I added in some of the colors from the metallic paints. Now, I didn't want to waste my paint there, so I put it right in there. So I'm going to make a combination here. Am I dragging it too much? I might be. I don't want to do that. See, I'm making my ink lines run. Okay, hello. Hello, Hasana B. Good color, thank you. I hear you, Hassan. Can you hear me, Hasana B? Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. It is hard for me to watch the screen and paint at the same time. And so if I don't answer you right away, that means I didn't see your comment, because my camera is at an angle, and I do have a laptop tab up so I can see you, but it does make it challenging. I hope you're still here. Okay. Okay, see if we can lighten this up a little, just a tad bit. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Now I kind of want to darken these flowers up. What color did I use? A little bit of yellow. Let's mix in a little bit of yellow in here. I kind of like the yellow now in there. No wonder I use up my yellow all the time. Oh, I like that a lot. The combination of the kind of, yeah, I really like that a lot. Okay, let's do this. We'll just mix up these two colors together because they're working really well. And then even the ink line's running a little bit. That's the ticket right there. That is the ticket. That's the money shot right there. I almost feel like I want to leave it and not do anything else. I mean, I really like it just like that. I do want to keep painting though. I want to leave it, but then at the same time I want to keep painting. And I'm having a hard time right now. Let's do something with a little bit of the blues though. I want to do blues, some blues. A combination of, oh yeah, I want to do a combination of some blue, how about blue and gold? We'll do some blue and gold, or blue maybe. Okay, not too much. We don't want too much paint on our brush. Too much water on our brush is what I intended to say. Too much water, then my lines are bleeding. I don't want my lines to bleed. And so I gotta just slightly put it in here. If there's some of the in between the lines showing, that's okay. Everything doesn't have to be filled in. Okay. Okay, so let's take a closer look at that on the camera there. You can see we can barely see that we even have any blue on there. Just barely. It's barely there. So let's add a little bit more. I'll just add a little. Okay, what other color did I say I wanted to add in there? A little bit of gold. You know what? I think I'm going to add in not gold. I kind of want to do maybe a little bit of green. Some olive green. That's what oh, I like that. Okay, a little bit of olive green. We'll get a little bit of, mix that in there. Oh, I like that. I might add some gold in there too anyway. I know I said I was going to. So we've got a little marbling effect going on with this. I like that. Oh my goodness, I like that too. I like the both of them. See, do you see the greens in there when I tilt it sideways? I love these metallic paints, metallic watercolors. I totally love these colors. I'm having fun with these. They are a little bit more expensive, but hopefully they will come down in price because I think they're too expensive and you don't get as much as the regular watercolors that you get. Now, I'm trying to think if there would, someone else probably has a little hack somewhere, I would think, for metallicizing your regular paints. I would just bet that someone has a hack. You know, or you could just, there's got to be a way, some colors or something to put into regular watercolors to kind of get the same special effect. If not, this is just a suggestion for someone to hack the watercolors to make a more inexpensive metallic, because metallic watercolors are fun. Maybe a fine glitter or something. You get some glitter and mix it into the watercolors. You could probably do that. Okay, I like that too. That turned out nice. It's quick and easy. Okay, so let's okay, we'll put some of it right in here. Empty out the brush. I hate the idea of wasting my, even though it's just such a minuscule, tiny amount, I don't want to waste any of it. I, okay, what color? Oh, I didn't put any gold in there. I should have put, should we lighten it up a little bit with some gold? We'll lighten it up a little bit with some gold. Or, let me think for a second. Let me do this. This looks kind of like an orange a little bit. That's funny. Now, it's almost the same color as this up here, which this was two colors. It was yellow and the light pink, and then I get this kind of orange, burnt orange color. It's kind of the, okay, let's see what we get putting a little of that in there. I'm not seeing, I need to see more differences in the colors. I'm not seeing enough differences in the colors. Okay, I don't know. Okay, so let me do this. Let me do something a little different here. I'm going to use some regular watercolor here. I'm going to add in a more regular watercolor. And then we'll mix in some metallics. That's what we'll do. Okay. Okay, so we got, now let's add in a tad bit of gold. Uh-oh, we're smearing. I didn't want to smear, but we're smearing our, okay, now, oh, I got lots of gold in there now. Yeah. That always works. Kind of red, rose, and gold. You see that? That works pretty well. This one is not popping enough. Let me put, okay, let's see if we can't get this to pop a little bit more in here. I need this one to pop just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, we got, okay, so what color do we want to do next? This one is not popping enough either. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of green, just regular watercolor green. It's always kind of helpful to have watercolor, you know, the deeper watercolors on standby, just in case you don't get what you are looking for. So I'm hoping when it dries, it's going to dry lighter, because a lot of times usually that's what happens. So when it's wet, it is actually a little bit darker than after it dries. Okay, let's make a green flower. That's what we're making here, is a green flower. And now we're going to add in, we're going to do a little metallic. And we're going to add in, oh, what color shall we add in there? We'll add in some metallic green, and we're going to add in a little metallic gold in here like this. Little metallic gold. Not a lot, just a little. Just to get the idea of a little bit of shine and shimmer in there. Yep, I like that. That's pretty. Uh-oh, what do we do over here? We got a mess going on right here. We got a big mess. It looks like a big mess. We've got some smearing and bleeding taking place. I didn't want that to happen, but it did. Okay. I did not want that to happen. Okay, but it... Okay, let's do a purple flower. I'm going to use some of my regular watercolor. Okay, how am I going to lighten it up? I need to lighten it up. I don't want it that dark. Let's add some of it back here. I don't want smearing. Hopefully we can avoid that. I do have a lot of water on there, so we could end up with some smearing. Let's add purple in here. Purple will work because it's kind of dark anyway, because we end up with the smearing. Okay, so let's let that dry for a few seconds, and I hope we don't get a lot of smearing. I like it, actually I like it though, even though it's darker. I do like it though. This part I'm not too happy with right now. Let me see if I can, let me see what happens here. I'm going to take a napkin and I'm going to dab. Let's see if, oh, it's already too dry. I'm not even getting anything up. It's already bled and smeared. You see that? So we've already got a big smear right there. So I'm not sure how or if I can lighten that up a little bit. Let me think. What can I do? Other than put a little bit of gold on there, I might be able to put a little bit of gold. Let's see if we can. Yeah, the gold. We'll put some gold on there. Now it still could end up with some smearing. I've got a lot of water on there because I can see it sparkling a lot. Okay, let me see here. If I do this, it's probably going to run. Do you see it sparkling? Yeah, you can see it sparkling. You should be able to see it sparkling because I'm holding it sideways. So there's a lot of water there. It's twinkling kind of like the sky, the night sky, the aurora borealis, and the twinkling of the stars in the night sky. That's what we got going on. The rest of them are not twinkling like that because they're drier. They don't have as much water on them. That one we have quite a bit of water. Okay, on with the colors. Okay, we've got kind of a pearl. This one's a kind of a pearlish pink looking color. Am I even? Yeah, I'm in the camera angle there. We sure are. Okay, so we're just covering this one up. It's metallic and kind of light colored. Oh no, we've got some bleeding going on right here too. I didn't plan on this, but it's already part of my artwork. I didn't plan on that. I didn't want that to happen, but it's part of my artwork now. Okay, I was trying to dry brush, but I think it's going to be okay though. I think it's going to be okay. I need to stop stressing over it. Really, I'm not stressing that much. It's not a big deal. Okay, what other color do I want to use? Let's use kind of this little purple thing we got going on here. See, they don't stand out a whole lot unless I add a little bit of watercolor. The metallics, a lot of them do not stand out. So I kind of have to put a little bit of watercolor down first before I put the metallics on. That's what but I haven't used the metallics enough to learn that yet. So I'm still kind of in the learning process of how the metallics work. So what I'm doing is layering them on top. So I have one more flower that has no color in it. And what color do I want to make that flower? How about we make it orange? I haven't used orange. We'll try, and I'll try to dry brush it. I've been failing miserably with, okay. Okay, so I do have orange in there right now, but let's see if I can keep it from smearing. I think it's going to smear. We've got a big smear campaign going on in my image. That's what it's, but actually I really like it though. It's really pretty. I mean, even with the smears in it, I like how it looks though. I still like it even though I have smears in it. I guess it just adds a little bit of character. You know what I'm going to take advantage of though? I am going to take, hopefully I won't ruin my flowers doing this. I'll take advantage of this and hopefully that'll fill in that'll fill in some of those edges that I tried coloring. See, if that's all I had to do was just add a little water. Oh, see, look what's happening right there now. It's smearing over here and bleeding. My colors are bleeding. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I like that. Does anyone have any questions? Well, we have one person watching, and so I didn't answer fast enough for Hassan, Hasnab, and so this is what we have. Adding color. I actually do like it better with color. And even with this right here, the metallics, even though the color is not as vibrant as the rest of the colors, I still like that part. We've got kind of a darker leaf going on right there. I even like that, even though, and this little part, I'll show you this part that was annoying me a little bit. Hang on here and I'll point it out. This little part right here, the smear right there. I thought that was going to bug me, but it's really not. I kind of like it now. It's really not that bad because it's just kind of like the shadows come in and fill in. Now this did work right here by my putting more. You see how when I colored in with the ink pen right here, you can see some little white spaces there. This completely filled it in. So the felt tip markers that I'm using, they will bleed. So that's something to bear in mind when you're doing these is, I don't know, maybe put on if you don't want them to bleed, maybe put on some type of waterproof coating on top so that they don't bleed. Okay, so the rest of these, looking at them, they did get dark like this one. They started out yellow, but they bled as well. So the whole, maybe I should name it the bleeding flower. That would be a good name for it, the bleeding flower. Because of the fact that I used an ink pen that was not a permanent marker and it wasn't waterproof and it was bleeding. But that's kind of the fun that I've noticed with some of the ink pens that I buy with the felt tip markers is that they have they do bleed, and a lot of times I don't mind because it's kind of like painting with watercolors then. And so I wish I could do a before and after. I don't have the means to be able to do that. I like this though when I put it up here like this. It's a screenshot right there. Yeah. That's either the screenshot or the thumbnail. It will probably, something like this is probably going to become the thumbnail within the next hour or so. Within the next hour to the next couple of days. Hopefully I won't forget, and I'll get it in there right away once the video's uploaded. Starts processing. Looks kind of rainbowy a little bit. It really does. I like that one. Actually, this first one that I did is kind of my favorite flower out of all of them. So in a way, I sort of left the one that I liked the best of all. I just added some, because I said I didn't really want to do anything with the rest of them. But it might have looked kind of funny though if I didn't do a little bit of watercolor on each one of them. So now we've kind of got a matching theme going on related to the running, bleeding, and blurring, smearing that's taking place with the whole thing. So that it kind of gives it a uniformity of a mess, a uniform mess, but it's a pretty mess. Yeah, I really like it actually. I still like it. And so I said that the other day when I was complete with my flower zentangle. I said I liked it, and I said that's unusual for me to like it, and I still like it even with the colors turning out the way they did. They didn't turn out like I thought they would, but then I end up with the smearing, and so you see it's kind of lightening up a little bit right there. That one's lightening up a lot right there. So it's not as big of a disaster as I thought it was going to be. All right, well, I'm getting a prompt too in my YouTube channel to do some crochet for some reason. And so I wanted to do a little bit of painting, and I was working on some other things today. Oh, we got a lot of good. Now that it's drying, we've got a lot of, oh, look at how shiny and metallic-y and pretty it is. Really pretty, pretty shiny things. Now, I did end up with a bunch of gold right here. That's what, yeah, you can see the gold. I ended up with a lot. I was a little heavy on the paintbrush with the gold metallics on this one right there. Well, it's not no Picasso, it's not no Van Gogh or anything like that, which I think that the Van Gogh artwork, he probably only became famous because of the ear thing. Otherwise, nobody would have paid any attention to his artwork. I don't know. I mean, I know there's some big tales about the old-fashioned artists. Alrighty then. Well, unless anyone has anything they want to write about and type into the box. Anyone have anything they want to type into about the box? And we can sit here and have a chit-chat. Maybe I didn't search engine optimization and organize my title good enough to draw in more people to have a conversation with. I don't know. It would have been fun to have more communication taking place in the comment section. Because I think what you know what I'm finding happens because I just tend to ignore. So if people are bad in the comment section, I tend to just ignore what they're doing, and I sometimes think that that's a downfall, and I get punished because I ignore what they're writing. And see, they're trying to get a rise out of me, and they can't. And so I think that's what they go someplace else to someone else that they can get a rise out of. So I think that's what's happened. That's what happens is, because, but like I said the other day, I do have a limit with a lot of things, because the ones who are just shamelessly promoting the same stuff over and over and over again, I get tired of them. They're doing is shamelessly promoting their own YouTube channels or their own website. That's all they're doing. And then they do become obnoxious at times. They become very obnoxious. But for the most part, most people on YouTube, right now, everybody on YouTube who's a YouTuber is to, um, afraid of even saying anything or promoting anything. Or now, granted, we get and understand that we were probably repeating some things a little bit too much, and everybody got tired of it. And so right now, people are not doing it as much. And so like me, I'm afraid to say please subscribe. Even though I would like to say that, it's like I don't want to say it too much. So I hope that people will just do it without me having to say it. Well, it's kind of like when with TV, you think of back in the day, there were some shows that would come on and they weren't saying, well, they were saying in a roundabout sort of way. They would go on some of those old TV shows and um, ask people to tune in. That's what it was, to tune in, or that they had a new show coming on. So there was an amount of promoting that they always had to do with the old TV shows. It's just on the internet. On the internet, we probably do it a little bit too well. Um, too well and more often than what they did in the traditional sense of TV promotions. So maybe that's a bad habit or something. I don't know. Um, but what I do know is it made it made a few websites very, very famous quickly. When people find out that they have the means to be able to share something and to maybe earn a little bit of revenue or something like that, or for whatever reasons, then it gets done really well, really, for lack of a better word. They're, promoting the websites. I mean, because where else do we have to go now? We have no place to go. Um, I mean, if another website came up and well, I know some of them have said that they have opportunities to earn revenue, and then when you go to the website, then it's like, well, I don't want to have to look at all these 20 different websites just to earn revenue on this one website, and you take me on a journey. It's like, I don't want to be taken on a journey. And it's like, that's what I feel like, that we've been taken on this journey, and like, where are we going? I mean, what do it's the journey that they take you on related to, and it still happens. It's like they come onto YouTube, and it's like, well, we want to take you on a journey to this website and that website and this other website and that website and this website and whatever website, and it's like, that never made sense to me. There was this gal I was watching earlier tonight, and she was talking about that. She was like the first person I've heard say it. I'm sure others have, but she was talking about that. She said herself that it didn't make sense to her to have to leave the website to go to another website when you're on one website specifically. Um, and so so I don't know. Um, More and more is coming out about some of the tactics that other websites used to promote their websites when they were first coming out. And, I was listening to this woman talk about Ravelry today. And it was kind of funny. I hope, I think I should have her saved in my history to listen to the rest of it. Because I thought I was going to be the only one who had some bizarre experiences. She said she herself was actually getting kicked off of the website for being too conservative, and I thought, what kind of what kind of thing is that? I'd never heard of people getting. Well, she said they weren't letting her post because she was too conservative, and I had no idea that they were having discussions about anything else. And she was saying that they even got political on the website. And and the thing I was thinking was, at that time, they were they were always telling me that if I've talked and wrote about some certain things, they didn't want me um, talking about it on their message forums. And so, I mean, I don't ever remember telling people they couldn't say things on my YouTube channel or any place else. I don't remember. I don't remember ever saying that. Just sometimes when they were kind of nasty. That's the only thing that I can think. But I know I stuck to one topic only. I mean, I know I was doing that because I was just trying to promote something. And I didn't even, at that time, I wasn't even thinking of search engine optimization either. I was just trying to think of it as a catalog of a book. I was thinking of my YouTube channel similar to a book. That's what I was thinking of. My YouTube channel similar to a book. So you go into a library and you check out either an art book, it's full of art stuff, art ideas, or you check out a crochet book that's full of a bunch of patterns and things like that. And that's what I was thinking of my YouTube channel, like for search engine optimization. That's how I was thinking of it. Now, I wasn't thinking of my YouTube channel in any other way, that because in a book, so for and I think the P Diddy thing is a good example, because of the fact that I had always said that, okay, just because I mentioned the word puff stitch does not mean that I want all that rap artist stuff coming up to me and on my channel, because it's vulgar content, and then the other people get mad at me for it coming up. And that's what was happening at the beginning of the YouTube. They were getting mad at me as though I had some kind of control over related videos, which I didn't. YouTube has control over that. I don't have control over it. And there's all these moms with kids who are just raging, bat lunatic crazy, mad at me because their kids came across some P. Diddy or some rap artist who used a similar word like puff stitch. And so the word puff stitch, I was getting prostitute that was coming up with, I thought it was funny though. It was really funny with the closed captions, with the captions, the CC. I thought it was funny. But apparently other people didn't think it was funny. And it's like, well, I mean, we can't laugh about any of this stuff. Now, and the thing is, it's like, well, if P. Diddy came up, it's not my responsibility. He was going by Puff Daddy. So if you guys are talking about a daddy or something like that, it's likely the man was a genius when he came up with his pseudonym. Puff Diddy was a genius when or whoever came up with it for him. I don't know if he came up with it himself. He was a genius because you think about a puff, what has he gone by? P Diddy, Puff Daddy, and so he was going by Puff Daddy. Okay, well, dad is a very, very popular word. And so if you look at the music industry for search engine optimization purposes, look at what they have used. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. They have aligned themselves for this moment on the internet. For search engine optimization, the music industry has aligned for this moment. All of their music artists align with things that are very, very popular with search engine optimization. I'm trying to think. Even the Jacksons, the Jackson Five and the Osmonds. Well, I don't know them. Their name. Well, I think of the Osmonds though. Ken Osmond, who was on Leave It to Beaver, and then Donny Osmond. He looked like he actually was Beaver. I was thinking Donny Osmond he looks identical to Leave It to Beaver, Jerry Mathers. Even though I know as an adult they look completely different, but yet they do look the same. And so they will give themselves, I call them shout backs. I call them shout backs because they use the tabloid media, which is the National Enquirer. So they will shout back. So Mrs. Sugarman, if you guys remember when Donald Trump went on his first campaign and he was at Mount Rushmore, he talked about Mrs. Sugarman and he talked about Mary Hart. And if you look at Mrs. Sugarman and Mary Hart, they look identical to each other. So I think Mrs. Sugarman was Mary Hart from what was it, the Tonight Show or Entertainment Tonight? And so Donald, right now, I think he's done with that because I think they know that legacy media is pretty much done. They've been saying that at VidCon all weekend because there's one guy went into VidCon. He's got his great big camera. So I was watching this other YouTube channel, and they showed a giant, or no, it was another. They showed a giant camera, and the camera looks like it probably weighs about 70 pounds. And it's one of those old TV cameras. It's got to be a joke why they've got it there. That's the only thing I could conclude, that it's there for a joke. And they were saying, they kept repeating over and over, they said, Hollywood is done. They said, Hollywood is absolutely done. They kept repeating that, Hollywood is done. There's no place for Hollywood anymore. That's what they kept saying over and over and over again. Now, the thing that I noticed with VidCon is they got these kids just standing in line waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm not sure what they're waiting for, but they're waiting in line for tags. They're waiting in line for tags for, I guess it's signatures or things that they're collecting. And so it looks to me like VidCon has even completely changed from the beginning. And so the young kids who are doing it now, I don't know if I don't know if they're making money or if they're doing it just for fun, or if they're doing it for views, or why they're doing it. But a lot of them weren't. A lot of them, they didn't seem all caught up. The ones I was listening to, they didn't seem all caught up in that fame and glory and stuff like that. They were just there just to socialize with other people. And every once in a while, there was one kid who had I think over 100,000 subscribers, and there was a couple of people who come up and asked him for his autograph, and he signed them an autograph, which I know when I had at one time I had close to 400,000 subscribers, but nobody would have ever recognized me because I was always behind the camera, and I didn't think it was a big deal. And I thought, that I didn't think that's what YouTube was about, was fame and glory. I just thought it was a place for a bunch of people to do whatever. We're human beings. We're ordinary citizens. That's what I saw. Ordinary citizens. Not none of this drama tabloid stuff. I don't like that. I don't like it. It's like, and so there, for me, there's always that argument of, other people who want to exploit someone who has something or who created something for their self. And we've seen that more and more with the politicians too, that they're getting exploited and then they're just getting completely hammered. So it's kind of like legacy media decides who's going to be running for president and who's going to be this politician and this part because they've decided, well, we're going to talk bad about this person and we're just going to make up stories about them just because we don't like them. But we're going to favor this other person. And they're just in your face doing it. I mean, they've been saying they've been doing that for a really long time. Fox News has. And they think it's funny. They just absolutely think it's funny. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of the conservative politicians actually get along with Fox News, but Fox News will let them talk on their show though too. They don't interrupt them. They just let them speak freely. Whereas MSNBC and some of those other ones, CNN, they want the clickbait. And, so I've asked myself the question, because this came up over the weekend, a couple of days ago, what are you creating content for? And, so I make little tiny short memes. Some of them are only 6 seconds. And it's like, well, it's unfortunate. I've thought that a lot of times. It's unfortunate that if we want to get views, if we want to get monetized, if we want to earn revenue, we have to follow the trends, and whereas you can just go to a job and a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 5, whatever, 7 to 6, however many hours you work, you can go to a job and make money that way. We haven't even talked about inflation again, but maybe that's for another video. But on the internet, if you want to get views or if you want to be embracing to advertisers, I guess the thing is you have to function somewhat as a small search engine yourself, a small YouTube search engine channel. That's the only thing I can conclude, is kind of functioning as a little micro search engine. That's just my thought. And when I was doing my other channel, when it failed, it had me thinking. It's like I went about this the wrong way. Now I didn't think about maybe I could have recovered if I would have kept it. There was a reason I didn't want to keep it, but then I was thinking, could I have changed the URL and not been attached to the old URL? I don't know. Could I have done that, keeping my old content and then working some of my old content onto that channel? I mean, I would have still been monetized, that's for sure. I still would have been monetized. Whereas now the truth is, on my original channel, it did take 2 years for me to get monetized. I mean, that's right. They were talking about Mr. Beast the other day. They said with Mr. Beast, it took him 2 years to get monetized. So that is accurate. I don't know why it has to take that long, but I guess they want to see how committed you are. Now, me, on the other hand, I end up making too many videos per day, so I can schedule videos, and in a matter of time, I can have a month's worth of videos that are made just by talking about things that based off of what I've watched on YouTube. But the collective nature of that is, it's like, well, wait a minute, we're all having these same thoughts, we're all having these same concerns, we're all having these same issues. What's going on here? So when people say, oh, this is just a simulation, it's like, well, is it a simulation? Or are we supposed to be talking about these issues because this is a real life 911 problem? Is it a real life 911 problem? One thing I've noticed on YouTube is the church folks. A lot of people are scared to talk about church. You get censored by church, and they're scared to talk about church at the same time. So if you go onto a church channel, no matter what you say, it's likely you're going to get censored. So a lot of times I just avoid them. Even though I started another channel just today that's a biblical type of a channel. So I thought, well, maybe I can do something different, because when I don't see something that it meets what my idea is. It's like, well, why don't I do it myself, and maybe I can empower and open the door for someone else who's a little bit scared. I'm not scared of church at all. um, that I've been censored off so many channels. I would have to say, if I had to estimate, I would say over 5,000 channels that I've been censored off of. you know, and and someone was telling me, they wrote me on, this was, I think, on Facebook before I got blocked from there. Facebook, I'm a solid block from. Even I am an IP block from Facebook. I can search through incognito. I am an IP block from Facebook. So there's certain, when I look for something, it just says you are blocked from Facebook. Why? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea why I'm blocked from Facebook. Now, there's some things lately that I've been able to look at on Facebook with the external search, but I haven't had a Facebook account in a very long time. Uh, but like with church, now this is the common denominator that I see. So we have a lot of people who are doing preaching and stuff. They're preaching their opinion. They're preaching something that maybe it comes out of their church. So they've been handed some paperwork and they've been told, well, this is what we kind of want to preach on. So if you listen to the pastors, a lot of times the pastors, they function as a network, just like Hollywood does. The pastors function as a network because out of churches, you have them talking about the same scriptures at the same time of the year. And a lot of the churches focus on that. And so it's like, well, is that coming out of their head hierarchy? Or is this just something they remember from childhood? That's what I've been asking. Is it something they remember from childhood, or are they handed a bunch of papers by the church and they're told, well, this is what we would like you to stay on script with, related to the indoctrination of the church or doctrine of the church? And so if you guys remember George W. Bush, I believe it was George W. Bush, and they said he had a Bush doctrine, is what they called it. They were talking about that all the time, and I found that kind of interesting because it's like, well, you have a doctrine and then an indoctrination, which it has the word nation in it too. A doctrine and an indoctrination. But in the past, we haven't really had a place to be able to talk about things. And I, in a million years, would have never ever thought that people would get so angry at me because I said I didn't want to believe in church. But yet, a lot of people left my YouTube channel, my original one, because I said I didn't want to believe in church. I didn't want to believe in God. They were mad. They were literally mad about it. And so, what has this been? Like maybe 8 years ago? 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I've had a few people, even my son actually is the first one. He actually had told me, he said, Mom, I think you were ahead of your time. My son had actually told me that. And I thought that was kind of nice to hear it from him. He's of the millennial generation. And it was kind of nice to hear him say that. That he understood what I was doing. And he says, why don't you make another YouTube channel and see if you can make it work again? And so they didn't understand it at first, but then when they get into it and they start doing it and they see what's entailed in it and how hard it is, and it was kind of nice to hear my son say that to me. Both of them actually had told me, yeah, and my daughter too. They said, why don't you get back in it and see if you can do it again? Now that they understand it, they do it there. They do things on TikTok, and they have YouTube channels, Facebook, and they're not completely against it. But I think they're burnt out on it. A lot of people are burnt out on it. Well, everybody kind of got burnt out on it a little bit. So if you do too much and then you don't get what you want out of it, it's not a lot. Right now, they've got the young kids talking about a dopamine hit. And I'm just thinking, Well, for me, the dopamine hit was the money. That's what I liked, was the money. Um, and then when the money started going away, then it was a little bit of a different matter, because it was like, well, wait a minute, what's the difference between doing something on the internet that's gig work and going to a job that's money? Or doing something on Wall Street and that's money. Or gambling. They're always talking about people who are gambling. And we've seen all those old TV shows and those daytime talk shows, and it's like, oh, these people are addicted to gambling. They're addicted to gambling. And I was thinking, well, wait a minute. What is it? There's a common thread here. There's a common thread, there's a common vertical, there's a common rabbit hole that goes deep down into the rabbit hole. Now we've got inflation um, in this country. Prices are very, very, very expensive. And it's like, well, so only some people are entitled to have a place to live in the United States. So, and right now, the touchy subject of immigration, and it's like, well, now the migrants are living in the United States for free, but we've got American citizens who are homeless, military veterans who are homeless, and yes, I'm going through the word salad. I'm going through the word salad of everything. Illegal border crossings, fentanyl and drugs coming across the border. That's the that's the hit right there. If you can get a view talking about it. Now, me on the other hand, um, I kind of get censored still when I use those words. There's a lot of words that I can't use the M word, Murder. I can't use that word in chat anyway, because it flags as censored. I don't know why. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me. It's like, I thought they said that Donald Trump said he was going to get rid of censorship and he was going to let everything flow freely. But that's not happening. It's still not happening. So there's a lot of places on YouTube I can't say the word murder. And it's like, well, why can't I say that word? Why am I censored to where I can't use that word? What has happened and what has taken place that I can't use the word murder? What's going on YouTube where I can't use that word? My channel is not marked for kids. It's just marked for adults. So I'm confused. So I'm confused by this whole thing. And so, how long have I been on here? Oh, it's not too bad, 55 minutes. I'm confused by everything that's been going on the past several years, because none of it makes any sense to me. Why people are excluded, and but I said I knew. I said I knew what was going on, and I did. I still do. There was a lot of people at the beginning of YouTube. I come across them every once in a while. I truly believe I come across them. I don't know about in real life, but on YouTube, I truly believe I come across these guys who said that they said censorship was taking place at the beginning of YouTube. And the ones who lost their channels in gaming networks, I think they're still around. I come across them every once in a while. And when I listen to them, it's like these are the people who were speaking the truth about what was going on, and nobody was listening. They were speaking about an alarm of other things that were going on, and nobody was listening. But now it's my understanding what they've said is that people are starting to listen. Related to, I don't know, the ones who you would think would be important to listen seem to be the ones that are not listening. I don't know how we get their attention. Unless they're going on the Where's Waldo tour. That's the only thing I can conclude, because it still seems like the Where's Waldo and Clown Car tour is still going on. The Clown Circus. It's like, really, we have to put up with this for another 3.5 years. It's so depressing. Just so it's like I'm tired of talking about the clown. I mean, the content that I make, that's the memes and jokes of that, doesn't get viewed anyway. I can use similar wording to some of the other videos that I make, and it doesn't get viewed, even though I think it's funny. There was one video I made the other day, and I would call it, oh my gosh, the look on, I mean, it's using special effects. It's a AI generated image from another AI generated image. And the look on the face is like, oh my gosh, the narcissist look on the face of that AI generated image is like, it is so powerful. It's like, oh my gosh, AI has that look down. It was just so perfect. It's like you got that arrogance and that look of narcissism in that image. When I looked at it, it's like, my goodness, the computer knows exactly what a narcissist looks like. And it hit the nail on the head with that one perfect. It may not always do it, but this one was like, it was kind of powerful. It's like, but most of the time I just leave that stuff out because I don't know if they're trying to get people to talk about some of that stuff less and to talk about other different things. I don't know. All I know is I'm bored about talking about the clown show. It's very boring. Very, very boring. Oh, and one of the other things, I have to keep talking about this too. I mean, I feel like I have to. Because I need to find out. It's like, well, if we're going to make stories, where do we get our news from? Like, where do we talk to politicians? Where do we find out about stories about politicians that is just kind of news-based instead of making up lies about a politician just to tear down their self-worth? Because I don't think that's good content creation. That's tabloid garbage stuff. And so if we're talking, it becomes a distraction from real policies, and that's the thing that intrigues me is the content creation related to the media being a checks and balances for politicians instead of a clown circus show. So the clown circus show going on right now is just nothing but a mockery, and that's just people who are taken care of at this point in time, which there's a lot of people who are not taken care of. And so I don't know what they think that we're going to do, or oh, here comes the police. The more of the clown show. More of the clown show going by. Sorry guys, I don't think I'm going to hear you. Your sirens are not going to be in the background. Other YouTubers are noticing this too when they're broadcasting. When they're live streaming, the police come by in the background. And I can't imagine, why would it be the police? You know, I've had people say that. They've said, well, maybe it's the police who called the police on you. And it's like, well, why would we want to show our faces? You know, that's bullying and intimidation. Yeah, maybe the police are tired of the clown show too. They could be. As I know, they said there's a big FBI investigation going on related to all of this, related to Hollywood, and an investigation related to a bunch of corruption in the government. That's probably why we lost revenue. And I know there was a guy he talked about. He makes it hard for me to like him though because he's so mean. He censors everybody. So you can't, he just wants happy, positive stuff on his YouTube channel. And then he's hot and cold. And so you just never know what he uses things against you. If you write something that he doesn't like. And so that's the kind of stuff that legacy media is doing. And in a gotcha moment. And that's what he told me too, related to talking about my ex-husband. And it's like, well, what happened with me and my ex-husband was true. And so he's carrying on about he's carrying on and saying things like, well, first of all, he's saying that nothing on the internet is true, it's all fake, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then he's like, oh well, if what you told me about your ex-husband is true, he says you're a racist, and he's carrying on about that, calling me a racist, and I have proof of it. And it's like, yeah. Well, isn't that what you guys did to Donald Trump? That you guys called Donald Trump a racist? A lot of lefties have called Donald Trump a racist. A lot of lefties and people of color have used the N-word in the context of, and then they want to blame Donald Trump for being a racist. You can't just go around and throw around the N-word and then, in your music and then call other people racist. That's a big double standard. Let me talk. I need to, let me pull this little thing out. I'm not sure where I heard this. I think it was, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, but I've turned on Gutfield at night because I think he's funny. So I don't watch him all the time, but every once in a while. I think it was them that were, I don't know if it was them or if it was something in Congress. I haven't been listening to a whole lot of it lately because, which has me having not much to talk about, because where else would I get news from? Where else would I get anything to talk about without any communication? I have absolutely nothing to talk about. But what I wanted to say is, this is what I wrote down. It said, it's not racist to examine the ethnicity of criminal abusers. Pakistan commonly grooms little girls for sex acts as normal, pass them around, then abandons them. Pakistan Muslim used to be part of India, so they call it mass grooming and gang rape. So I was thinking that this has been a common theme that the Republicans talk about all the time. Now we hear about this in the Bible too. It's in the scriptures. It's in the Bible. It's in there. The abuse is in the Bible. But yet, is the Bible censored? Probably. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the Bible, and so that was the premise of what Donald Trump was talking about, was the conservatives being censored. I do agree with him on that to varying degrees. I may not agree with all of his policy. I may not agree with most of his policy because of the fact that he said he was going to help the American public and he didn't. And there's a lot of people, what are we, just over 90 days from the inauguration. What is this, June? Yeah, a little over 4 months from the inauguration. And they said there's a lot of, I saw this thing come up yesterday that talked about that rednecks are really mad at Donald Trump. What are you barking at? But this video came up and it said the rednecks in the Midwest and rural America are mad at Donald Trump. And now the funny part about that was the guy, I don't know if he's one of these guys that goes driving different areas, because there's a lot of people who go traveling through these different states, and they will drive like 6 to 10 hours. It's kind of like the storm chasers. They drive all over the United States, so they must be part of Legacy Media. And they go driving a bunch of different places. And so what this one guy said was rural America did not have a bunch of Donald Trump flags up. And I was thinking, well, why would they? The election is over. Why would you keep your Donald Trump flag up or your election sign up? You know, most people don't do that, do they? I know I wouldn't. I mean, and at one time I thought maybe I was going to buy a sign to put in my yard when Hillary was running for president. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I have to pay for it. They used to give that stuff away for free, or I thought they did. I didn't know you had to pay for it, because I was thinking it was free at one time. Because I remember them giving away bumper stickers and they were telling people to put the bumper stickers on their cars, and they were free. And the same thing with the signs. I thought they were free too. I didn't know they were asking for money. Oh. But then it's just gotten out of hand, completely out of hand. I don't think elections should be more than 3 months. I really don't. I don't think elections should be more than 3 months related to a candidate getting out there. And I think that any one channel who is influencing elections, you know, even Fox News, they shouldn't be able to do that. But they are. You know, so they talk about influencing campaigns from foreign countries. They're doing it inside the United States, though, too. So they're doing it outside of the United States and inside. You know, so foreign influencing misinformation coming from foreign countries, then that becomes, well, what was that, George Soros? But someone said George Soros ran out of money now. They said he's out of money, or he's just not giving his money away to elections anymore right now. That's what I heard. The last I heard that he's done, and he's not going to do it anymore. But what about Elon Musk? Isn't that foreign influence peddling? So he comes to the United States, becomes an American citizen. Oh, there was another YouTube video I watched, and there's a guy who became a naturalized citizen to America from a foreign country. And so this Khalil guy that they let out of jail, now this migrant who became naturalized, he said that when he did his naturalization, he said that he was told that if they did anything like this Khalil guy did, that they would be removed from the country. He said that they can lose their naturalization and all that. He's mad. He said he thinks this guy should be deported. And so there are people who migrated the right way and got into the United States, and now they're upset with the migrants who are causing a lot of problems here in the United States, the ones who just came in and have caused a lot of problems for people who live here. They're upset about things that are going on. But this guy, that Khalil guy, I think he did, I don't know what he did exactly. He did something horrific, and they let him out of jail. So a lot of it doesn't make any sense why they're doing that. Let me see if I can find a little bit on here. Usually I'm just too lazy to look it up because it's not that important. I mean, if, the thing that I think is like, why should I bother looking it up when Donald calls it fake news? Why should I bother looking it up? Because if it's just fake news, what's the point of looking it up? Khalil Gibran, is that, I don't know if that's the guy or not. No, Khalil Gibran. Oh no, that wouldn't be him. That wouldn't be him. This guy. Oh, wait a minute. Khalil Gibran? Says he was born January 6, 1883, and he died April 10th of 1930. He is from Lebanon, Bashari, Lebanon, a prophet, Khalil Gibran. But that was the name that was used for this person who was a criminal, Khalil. Huh. Lebanese American writer and poet. He's a prophet. So, but this guy, Khalil Gibran, he didn't do anything wrong from what I see. He was a author and a poet. Let me see if there's, look up the news. Fails to qualify for, now there's a Mayor Khalil Sarin fails to qualify for election ballot. The name Khalil is very popular, it looks like. I thought that was, I don't know. Sometimes stories come up and then they just disappear. You will have a new mayor in 2026. Embattled Cleveland Heights Mayor Khalil Sarin fails to qualify for election ballot after failing to secure enough verified signatures. Maybe I got the name wrong. Okay, let me just look at the news. This is what I'm tired of, is just looking at the news just to find news to talk about with. Okay, who is the guy? Let me see if I can find. Oh, Muhammad Khalil. Yeah, I was right. Muhammad Khalil returns to New York after months in detention. Yeah, okay, so I even had the spelling right. So that was the difference between the first name and the last name. So he was let out of detention. They held him for several months. Muhammad Khalil arrives in New Jersey after release from ICE custody. And people are upset about that. They want him deported. Let's see. Ordered release from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Detention Center in Louisiana. The Columbia University graduate. Oh, he was the student. He was the student. If they threatened me with detention, even if they would kill me, I would still speak for. Oh, he was the guy speaking for Palestine. But now, see, they were being really mean to a guy on a live stream the other day, and it was a Jewish man, and I don't know where they were at, but he was live streaming, the Jewish man was, and he had some signs up, and he was talking about some things, and he was really peaceful. And there was these men who just happened to go by, and they were saying some really vulgar and mean things to him. And I put, call the police, call the police. And then someone writes to me and they said, well, what good is that going to do for the police to come? And next thing you know, lo and behold, the police come walking through the video, and these young men moved on away from that man, and they stopped harassing him. That's what would happen. So they were talking to this old man who was Jewish as though they just didn't even care about him. And it's like, well, he has as much right to be there with his sign. His sign wasn't, well, he was saying, when people talked to him, they learned that he wasn't for something that they thought he was for. And, so his opinion and view of something was completely different than what they had thought. And I was just thinking, the whole reason that the Jewish people fled Europe was because of Hitler. That was the whole reason. That sticks in my mind. I mean, I was able to visit a concentration camp in Dachau, Germany, when I lived in Germany. And it's haunting. It's very haunting, related to the massive amount of people who died. And then they had a great big graveyard, a mass burial graveyard is what it was, where they just buried everybody. So what I learned was that they would die from, what is it, consumption, I think is the word that's used, where, malnutrition, consumption, and they became very, very thin and malnourished, and they just had a bunch of oatmeal and slop to eat every morning, and maybe they could eat it, maybe they couldn't. So a lot of people died from starvation. And then they said a lot of them went to the gas chambers. But the gas chambers looked like a crematory, though. It looked like a cremating place. So, but they did show an actual gas chamber that they had people go into, where they gassed them before they put them into the crematory. And that's where they would burn their bodies before they buried them, which was cremating them. So I guess that was probably the only way they could do it. It was mean. I mean, just plain mean. They were just killing people. So Khalil, a green card holder, was in ICE custody for more than 100 days. Because Mohammed Khalil is an advocate for Palestine human rights, he has been accused baselessly of horrific allegations simply because the Trump administration and our overall establishment disagrees with his political speech. I mean, haven't a lot of us been met with that related to speech because someone else doesn't understand what's going on? And so they just decide that, well, this person is horrible because they used words, search engine optimization words, or they used something. Now, I don't know this guy, this student. I know some of the right-wing and left-wing politicians will say some really strong words, but then nothing ever happens out of it, which is kind of odd. What does this say? Simply because the Trump administration and our overall establishment disagrees with his political speech, New York Congressman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, which she became very famous very fast, I thought. It's like, well, so who funded her? Who funded her to become famous that fast? So it says the Trump administration has been seeking Khalil's deportation for his role in the Columbia campus protests against Israel. He has not been charged with any crimes, but the administration says he should leave the country due to his activities it deems were aligned with Hamas. Trump and his administration, they chose the wrong person for this, Khalil said, addressing reporters after leaving the facility on Friday, returned to New York City. Well, now he himself still is in touch with the press and the media. He's still talking to people related to what's going on. Granted, he did give up a big... they said 4 months. He was in jail for 4 months, just like Steve Bannon was in jail for 4 months for whatever Steve did. It said on Friday, U.S. District Judge Michael Fabiars ruled that Khalil is neither a threat to his community nor a flight risk. So apparently he wants to stay in the USA. He called Khalil detention highly unusual. Thank you. Thank you. Now there's more that we're not hearing about related to this. That's what I think. And the federal government's actions and effort to use the immigration charge to punish the petitioner for his anti-Israel speech. Let's change that wording around. And an effort to use terrorist threats against a person to punish them for freedom of speech on the internet, we could change those wordings around too. To punish a person for using freedom of speech related to search engine optimization on the internet, punishing the content creator for search engine optimization, where legacy media actually writes things that are much worse. They're actually doing things that are much, much worse right now than YouTube. YouTube is very, very censored, more so than church. Yeah, that's a good analogy. The truth of the matter is YouTube is more censored than church right now, because in church, at least you can go into church, and church can use the word murder in church without getting censored. They can use the word murder in their live streams and their videos. They can use all kinds of words, genocide, and not have any repercussions from it. But content creators on the internet, because YouTube is still relatively new and people don't understand search engine optimization and the clickbait, and so legacy media, I've always said they had a pass for, even though the journalists, they have as much old-fashioned staying power as actors and actresses do. That's what a lot of YouTubers have been talking about. They said, yeah, the legacy media has more staying power and lasts longer than YouTubers do. YouTubers just don't stand a chance. Even though we thought it was the future, we thought YouTube was the future related to a place where everybody could post content and earn a living. That's up until one of the network, you know, okay, do you want me to throw out a conspiracy or a theory here? So when PewDiePie did what he did, it was on purpose. Do you have to wonder if one of the CEOs of one of those companies purposely did it? And so they used that as a means to pull all the advertising off of YouTube to make YouTube look bad? I have to wonder. I mean, now PewDiePie is still on YouTube. Mr. Beast is still on YouTube. Um, and I do remember when PewDiePie hired those guys from another country to say what he said about, but he was sort of a comedian, and comedians say some really vulgar things, and the comedians are feeling the squash right now too. A lot of them are, because they'll say that they can't talk about a lot of things. They sound like me. I say that too. It's about this, and we can't talk about that, and we can't say this, we can't say that. Mark our videos as according to COPPA and not appropriate for kids. And it's like, the truth of the matter is, most of my videos are appropriate for kids. The majority of the content I do is appropriate for kids. It was always like that on my original YouTube channel too. And I've raised the issue about adults being bullied on the internet by kids. I think that is a thing too. That's what I'm finding out. That is a thing. Because kids are mean. They come on the internet, they have nothing to do, their parents are not watching them. They're very mean. Okay, so it sounds like this guy Khalil, that they've left the path open for the government to continue efforts to deport him, such as other problems with his green card application. So they just haven't done it, though? They just haven't done it. What does this say? Khalil reacts alongside his wife, Noor Abdalia, right? I bet him and her have a place to live, too. They're in the United States, and I bet they have a place to live and they're not homeless. How much you want to bet this guy who did the Columbia thing and he went to jail for 4 months? It says Khalil's arrest was the first of several similar incidents across the country. I beg to differ about that. So another Columbia activist, Mohsen Madawi, also who has a green card, was arrested April 14th, detained for alleged posing a risk for adverse foreign policy consequences. He was just released about 2 weeks later by a federal judge who ruled that he was likely being punished for protected speech. Gosh, I know someone else. I know a person personally who would have liked to have heard that from a judge that said they were being punished for protected speech. I have yet to hear a judge say that search engine optimization on YouTube, on the internet, things that we put in for keywords for search, is protected speech. Instead of some dumbass from legacy media saying that the content creators are a terrorist threat. I would like to hear that from a judge that says the search engine optimization words we put into YouTube as for targeted targeted placement, search engine optimization placement. Because if we don't use the words, then we can't. Then it's not going to show up. If you upload a video to YouTube and you put nothing in it, it's not going to show up. And this idiot from Atlanta, from the Atlanta area, and he's in Peachtree City, he keeps saying, oh, everything's just going to show up. It's just going to show up on its own. It's being scanned. It's just going to show up. It's like, no, it's not just going to show up. You have to tell the algorithm what is going to be in there. Otherwise, it's not going to have anything to go on. And it's like, how many times, YouTube was telling us this just a few years ago. They said, you've got to put some keywords into your metadata or it's just not going to show up. You can't just look at a picture and know what the picture is about. And that's what this idiot guy in Atlanta, Georgia area is telling everybody. And so he's got all these kids that are following him, and he sends them, a lot of them off to Discord. I don't know why. He tells them to go to Discord. So they're taking them on a journey. That's what they're doing, is taking them on a journey to all these different websites. And it's like, now wait a minute. If you're doing that, what are you doing with that? Taking all these people to different websites? Because I don't, oh, it was like the woman I listened to earlier today. And she said, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you're a content creator on this website specifically, she says, it doesn't make any sense to me to take people to different websites for your content creation. Well, I didn't write back to her. Maybe I will and explain to her a little bit from how things were at the beginning of YouTube. But the one guy, he did tell me something that did make sense. He was a guy from New Jersey. He told me, he said, this is what you got to do. He said, make profiles on the most popular internet websites. And he said, put your link there of your YouTube channel. And he said, then it gives you more of a presence. And then the algorithm looks at that and it'll help create your popularity for YouTube. Well, now the thing is, you can actually do that right on YouTube yourself too. I mean, there's things that you can do right on YouTube without going to a bunch of different websites, because it does become a lot of work doing it by yourself. Now, what the networks were doing, the multi-channel networks, I think they were special and a little bit different from Hollywood networks. Hollywood networks are the people that have the headshots, and they have casting agents and screenwriters and all that stuff. Now, the multi-channel networks, they actually functioned as, what they wanted was people to join their network. So if you had a YouTube channel that was in a niche that they didn't cover, they wanted you to become part of their network, because if you had a lot of subscribers, then you would boost their overall network, where they could say, well, this is what we have. And so they wanted to entice advertisers to their network by having your YouTube channel go into it. So if you're someone who had a crafting niche of some sort, then that was why they wanted people from crafting to join the network, and then they would count your subscribers as theirs, and then it would boost their numbers. And so then a lot of them too, what they do is they will buy YouTube channels. They'll buy the videos. And so then maybe they set vacant, but they'll just set on them. They'll just set on them They'll just set on them with nobody manning the YouTube channel. And that's what I suspect. Well, not suspect. That's what I believe happened with the gaming channels. because of the people who were in the gaming channels, and then they said that they wanted to liberate their channels from the gaming channel, and the gaming channel said, no, you can't do that. You could, we want to keep, we're going to keep your channel. Well, they had maybe a couple million followers through the gaming network. So the gaming companies wanted to keep the YouTube channels because they had millions of subscribers. So so this is a caveat here, even though there's nobody running the gaming channel right now, they're still in the network. It says they have 1 million subscribers on that gaming channel. They could have 20 million subscribers on that gaming channel, even though it's failing miserably right now and nobody is making new content right now. They have 20 million subscribers on that gaming channel for advertisers, even though nobody's watching the channel, or it's not very popular, or it's falling out of favor. So they use the subscribers, to entice advertisers to their network. So that's what the multi-channel networks are up to. So that was actually explained pretty well on YouTube by several different people, that's what they were doing. And when I talked to the recruiters for the networks, that's kind of what they explained to me, is they said that the channels go into the network and then they become a lump sum of that network. And then some of them want to keep the channel too. I think that's probably where it goes. They wanted to keep the channel, the channel of the content creator, so then they can use it in the future and then entice advertisers. But now the advertisers are going to have to, the big ones, the big advertisers of like Procter and Gamble and car companies, the big ones. The small advertisers, they're probably always going to advertise and do things, advertise across a full spectrum of YouTube channels. Where the big advertisers, that's who they want to entice, like Coke and Pepsi. And I have not noticed them advertising on YouTube. I have not noticed much advertising at all on YouTube. So I think YouTube is still under adpocalypse, maybe, or no advertising. And then there was so much of that. Someone was advertising the the ad blocker. The ad blocker, and it's like, we don't I don't want to block ads. That's how I earned my living. That's how I made money, was through ads. Why do we want to block ads? Why are you guys doing this? And it's like, to me, it was like fighting against an avalanche coming down a mountain. That's how I felt. That's how overwhelming it was when all this was going on. It's like, I'm fighting an avalanche. I have absolutely no control, and I have no help in my society and no help whatsoever from the government. And then I kept hearing all these people for the past 4 years, and they say, go get a job, go get a job. It's like, well, okay, you don't know my circumstances of what's happened. Most people say they don't want to hear it. The jobs don't exist. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So, plus we have inflation. We have a 911 emergency problem taking place in this country. We have a big problem. We still do. We still do. And I hear other people talking about it every day. I'm not the only one. Thankfully, I am so thankful right now to come across these other guys that I believe they could have been YouTubers who were in at the beginning when I was. A lot of them are saying too that they would watch some of the other YouTubers. Now they're making their own content, or they'll just say that they strayed away from watching some of the other YouTubers. A lot of people, like in crafting and stuff, they said they're bored. They just said they're just plain bored with it. They're tired of doing what it is that they're doing. I get it. It's burnout. It's a big burnout, because it's like, what else is harder too, is with the burnout and you're not earning revenue, that becomes a big drag on your psyche. When you're burnt out and you're not earning any revenue and you have no means of being able to compensate, it's like, well, okay, how am I supposed to survive now? How do I survive? You took my revenue away. How am I supposed to survive? Now, and then the prices for everything has gone up. Rent is a lot higher. And a lot of these places, we can't even get into rent. But yet, you've got the migrants living in, someone's paying for them to live in apartments that are $6,000 a month, and you're fully paying for their food, and they're driving cars in the United States. Now, granted, when they're here on a visa or however they came in the United States the legal way, it's like when I lived in Germany, we got to drive over there. And it's like, I don't think it's a big deal that they drive here in the United States, but then they're driving these big fancy cars. And it's like, well, if they're here on a temporary visa, someone is getting a hold of for them to drive, so that they have an automobile to be able to go get groceries and provide for their family. But yet here in the United States, we're not supposed to be able to provide for ourselves, but you're going to provide for migrants above American citizens, above American veterans, people who served our country, above American families who have served our country, civilian people who have served our country in some very heroic ways, be that the police, the fire department, first responders, medical staff, and your American citizen who we have no idea who that person is. We'll never know who that anonymous person is who is sacrificed, and they gave their life for something that was heroic. And tell me again what equality is. Why the corporations are allowed to do what they're doing to the American public. And I ask every day that thing about Wall Street. It's like Wall Street drives me nuts. It drives me up a wall because, yeah, Wall Street drives me up a wall. It drives me up the wall because it's another way. Wall Street is nothing but a means. It's supposed to be for job creation. So someone acquires money from the government, and then they start a company, and then they put it on Wall Street. It's supposed to be job creation, but there's so many things that are confusing. It's like, well, how do we end up with Elon Musk? How is it that Elon Musk is that special? He comes to the United States off of a student visa, then he gets a permanent work visa, and then he becomes an American citizen and starts this company. There's something that ain't right about that. Something, I'm not sure what, but there's something that it just right about that. And we did like him for a long time. I'm sure he's a lovely man. He's trying to populate the planet by himself with his 16 kids and 16 wives, or ex-wives, or whatever that is. So is this all American women? Is that what that is? Is all of this is American women that he's had babies with? And if he was to get deported because someone found that he did something wrong, then all these women are left in the United States with all of his kids and they can't take care of themselves? Say that his company goes under? I mean, I don't see a future for it. I don't see a future for Tesla because it's too expensive. I mean, granted, there was some experimental things that was taking place, and it seemed like NASA took what's the word I'm looking for? It seemed like NASA went into a lesser role. They took a lesser role that was more subtle than what they had in the past, or they went more into the internet. It was like we didn't hear about them as much. Maybe that's because I wasn't listening to the television as much. Even though I knew they had the NASA channel, NASA put more stuff on the internet than what they were able to put on TV. They could engage with more people on the internet than they could on TV. And eventually they just, earlier this year, they said they blasted off, and they did. They gave up their NASA TV station and abandoned it. That's what they did. And so, but you know, maybe Elon Musk was supposed to be competition to NASA. Is that what it was supposed to be? Competition? Is there a message or a lesson in there related to Elon Musk doing what he did? You know, when they talk about competition, then the government has two programs that the taxpayers are funding, which was Elon Musk, because he does say, I hear him, and I hear him well when he says that his company is heavily scrutinized by the United States government because he is government contracting and he's a government company. He's going to have to suck it up. I mean, yeah, maybe he'll still be there doing it. He seems to have a lot of irons in his fire right now. So he's got Twitter, or he's got X, and he's got SpaceX and Tesla. So he has three companies right there. Plus, he went into the White House for a little bit. I don't know if he's still there or not, but I keep hearing that Donald Trump is upset with him. This is what I get. I get two things. One of them says Donald is upset with him and the White House. Another one says that Donald and Elon Musk have made up and things are great between them. I don't know what to believe. I have absolutely no idea what to believe because there's so much misinformation. I have no idea. And Elon did say he's lost a lot of money in his company because of all this. He said he volunteered to go into the White House. But now it sounds like they want to scrutinize him being there, and that maybe he made matters worse with whatever it was that he was doing, which nobody really knows what he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. People told me to read Agenda 25, and it's like, I don't have to read Agenda 25. I know what Donald is doing. He is doing it on steroids from what he did in his first presidency. Nobody would listen. He's doing the same thing, only he's doing it worse because now he's in his second term as president, even though they're not consecutive back-to-back terms. He's doing the same thing, and he's doing more of it, and he's worse because of the fact that he won a second time. And you know, and I've heard a lot of people say who are in the White House, I've heard a lot of people say that they don't think Donald knows what he's doing. He said they don't think he has any idea of what he's doing. So I don't know. I get tired of hearing him because he says the same thing. And you know, it's like, what about helping the American people? He has no plans on bringing inflation down. He talked about it, but I don't think he has any plans on doing it. He can't. He doesn't have power. You know, so where are the investments for the American public to help the? But it does sound like some of the CEOs, after seeing all of this and seeing some of their some of their companies hurt. Yes, some of their companies are the size of countries' budgets. That's for sure. After seeing their companies hurt, it sounds like they're taking a little bit different role in how they look and think of the American public related to supporting their business, especially the technology companies. And I mean, the technology, you know, we've said that about the technology companies. It's like, well, if you want to make the public mad, we'll just stop using your company. I know I did that myself. I mean, I took what, 18 months to 2-year break from YouTube. I deleted my original channel. Now granted, it didn't make any skin off my nose because of the fact it's like, well, they're just running amok, and It's like, okay, well, my videos bring views into their website, and this is how they're going to treat content creators. And it's like, I'm not afraid to delete my stuff again if, you know, I'm not, because I'm still not that attached to it. I'm not earning any revenue. I'm not that attached to it. So, um, but at the same time, we have no checks and balances for some people. We have no equality for some people in this country. I mean, I think the politicians and CEOs need to look at what is equality. When you have inflation and you're hurting the American public, I mean, if the CEOs are that out of touch with the American public, and, you know, what was that show, Undercover Boss? And a majority of the people who are in franchise business, they said they were homeless. Yeah, that's a good example. The majority of them said they are homeless. The people who are working franchise business on the show Undercover Boss. I remember that show very well. And it was young people. And it's like it started resonating and making sense to my own kids. Same situation. Even though I can't talk about myself, it being in the same situation, nobody wants to hear about that. But there's no help. So so the money for charitable contributions, they want to direct it outside of the United States. Well, how about using it inside of the United States to help the American public who needs help? I think that's a great idea. Help the American public instead of helping all these other countries. It's taxpayer money, isn't it? Now, how does the taxpayer money, that's my taxpayer money, that goes to other countries for help? Now, we're not talking about the military either and what they do. They're going to do what they do. I accept that. And I know a lot of them are upset with the way the military is doing things. I hear that loud and clear every day, that they don't like what the military is doing. I hear that really, really loud. And when I say loud, I just mean that I hear it loud and clear, that they're upset. A lot of them are upset with how they're doing things with um, the way they're doing things. You know, so it sounds like a lot of them are upset with it. They're a lot upset with the politicians. So I don't know what's going to happen, but something has got to help the American public. Something has to, I would think. I mean, they're violating civil rights right here in America. The politicians are violating civil rights. Economic inflation, to me, is a civil rights violation. I don't see it any other way. And I will argue all day long with the Wall Street people. You know, because even the Wall Street people, there comes a point, it's like, okay, with Wall Street, if people don't have money to invest into your company on Wall Street, that means Wall Street goes away. Look at all these brick and mortar business that are folding up. And they even said, oh, someone today was complaining about tourism. There was a guy that he wasn't complaining. He was just saying that less people are traveling because they can't afford to. That's what he was saying. So it wasn't really a complaint. It was just like, oh, we're finally at that cusp that people can't afford to travel now because everything has gotten so expensive. And he said there's less hotels right now. That's what's happening. That's what's taking place. Less people are traveling because it's gotten so expensive for the families that they're staying home now. A lot of people are probably losing their homes, or they're having to work all these extra jobs and extra hours and stuff just to try to pay for their house and their apartment. And it's like, I hope they call politicians. I really do. That's one of the things when I started doing that. It's like that's all I have is calling up the politicians and telling them. It's like my country can help me. Why should I be the one to volunteer and help my country when I hear about all these programs that are supposed to help the American public? My country should be able to help me. You want me to volunteer? So the John F. Kennedy statement, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I thought, well, let's reverse that around and say, well, what can my country do for me? Why does my country have a sense of entitlement that I'm supposed to do for the country instead of the country doing for me? I know that sounds greedy, narcissist, selfish, and I'm sure that's what I'll be told, what I would be told. Those are the voices that run through my head. But what about my country doing something for me? Um, because it helps other people who need help. So why can't I get the help? Or why can't I get some charitable contributions of some sort that help me? So why is it that the migrants get charitable contributions to come into the United States and do stuff and be fully taken care of? But as American citizens, we don't get that? That seems kind of like a backwards school of thought right there. That's what I'm thinking. But I've been on here for 2 hours. I think I need to go. I've ranted enough. I've ranted.